Welcome to the Michigan Golfers. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
Hi, I'm Jack Berry. I'm at the West Michigan Golf Show. We got a nice crowd today getting in from out of the snow to look at all the green grass. And a man who has been an artist with the green grass in Michigan, including plus some granite walls, Gray Walls Golf Club up at in the Upper Peninsula. And we'll talk about Mike's works from Gray Walls to Kingsley Club to we're going to go down the west side of the state, right down along Lake Michigan. Starting at Gray Walls, Mike.
Thanks for having me, Jack. It's good fun, always fun. So Gray Walls is a great, super fun project. It's been open about 14 years, semi-private course, and the people in Marquette are just avid about golf. They had 18 holes. They did about 35,000 rounds a year on 18 holes, and they needed more golf because the demand. And so we built them Gray Walls, which is a spectacular views of Lake Superior, and huge granite walls, hence the name Gray Walls.
What did you think when you saw that, when you went into that property and said, wow?
Yeah, it's everyone was a wow. It's exciting. Where the 6th tee is, which is the par 3 that goes over the big gorge, and then the greens surrounded by rock outcroppings, and everybody said, have you been to the Rock? Because above where the tee actually is, you can get up there, you can climb up there, and you can see almost 360 degrees around you, and you're looking at Lake Superior, and it's really spectacular. It's sort of unknown, but we'll let it out. There's actually an AstroTurf mat up there that the superintendent put up, so you can hit to the 6th green from there if you want to climb a little higher. It's really fun. It's cool. Yeah.
And then the Kingsley Club, which has been very well received.
Yeah, so Kingsley's a private course that I did just south of Traverse City, and it's kind of my first completely solo design. Pilgrim's Run I did prior to that, but with some other people and stuff too. And Kingsley's a wide open link-style golf course, grassland terrain.
It's home course for you, right?
Yeah, well, I live in Traverse, so it's 20 minutes from the house. Very, very fun, easy to get out. So I'm there pretty regularly, which is fun. And yeah, it's fantastic. Ed Walker, the owner, and his partner Art Preston, they've been fantastic in the last 20 years. Spent about 20 years since we did that, and it's really great.
Now that's drawn players from all around the country.
Yeah, we have members that come from around the country, and people that come in and they're making a tour. They always want to try and get there. They just do a fantastic job taking care of everybody. And Dan Lucas, the superintendent who built the golf course with me, is the best turf guy I've ever seen. I mean, he's just that good. It's fantastic turf conditions to play shots, running shots, bank shots, all different types of things. Yeah.
And then moving on down to Pilgrim's Run, which was kind of a unique,
very, very unique place. So Pilgrim's Run was co-designed by 6 guys working on 3 holes apiece, and then Chris Shoemaker and I, the superintendent, we kind of put the whole thing together, and I shaped all the greens and bunkers and consulted on that, and it's just a fantastic place. The Van Kampen family has owned it from the day one, and they just Jeff O'Malley and his staff, they do a fantastic job taking care of people. And it's a half an hour from Grand Rapids. You'd think you'd still have metro sort of area, but it's you're in the middle of nowhere, and there's deer and turkey, and it's really fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I have family that lives in Cedar Springs, and my 2 grandsons and a granddaughter learned golf under Jeff O'Malley.
That's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah, he's a great teacher, and they've got a nice practice facility and lots of stuff that they can do there, which is fantastic. Yeah.
And then you've moved down a little bit farther south to Grand Rapids area.
Yeah, so the Mines, which is a little over 10 years old, 12 years old or whatever, which is right down to 5 minutes from the heart of Grand Rapids in traffic, and over in a portion of the old gypsum mines, hence the name The Mines. And the Schimmel family, Dan and Judy, we built that for them, and it's a unbelievably affordable golf course that's right here in the city. Fantastic practice range. They actually have other land that we've always wanted to do a par 3 golf course on, and there's still some sand to mine out of that, but in the future we're hoping that we're still going to have a a short game facility or maybe a par 3 golf course, a big Himalayas putting green, something like that. So, but Dan's got some more sand in mind first.
Okay.
And with all the development in Grand Rapids, people need the material. But it's really a neat place and fun to play. It's challenging. It's a hard golf course. There's some long par 4s there that for the average player, you can think of it as a 3-shot hole, and you get a chip and a putt. That's a par 2, or it kind of feels like a birdie to them. So. But it is fun, and a lot of golfers are getting out there. It's a good way to get it.
Obviously.
Very, yeah.
And then down at Diamond Springs, which is one of the most affordable courses I think in the state.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a great bargain. So Chris Shoemaker, who had been involved with me at Pilgrim's Run, he wanted to do another project, and he found this property out south of Forest Grove and Hudsonville, and really just wonderful. There's generally flat ground with these eskers that go across, these ridges, geologic formations go across. So there's a lot of contour, but it's very walkable. And then there's a deep gorge that goes through basically the end of the back 9 and the end of the front 9. And so you have this big drama, kind of like you think of the quarry down in Florida, the Black Diamond. There's got those quarry holes. These are sort of the gorge holes. And I'm trying to remember the quote when it came out. Ron Whitten said, I think for $25 golf courses, this is about the most fun you can ever have. So that was a pretty high compliment. Yeah. Really good place.
Now, you've also done a lot of work out of the state. Tell us about what you've been up to, including all the way over south of Australia.
Yeah, so on King Island, we did Cape Wickham, which is on King Island is a separate island from the state of Tasmania, which is, of course, the state of Australia. But King Island's in the middle of the Bass Strait, so there's a lot of turbulent weather. And it's just spectacularly beautiful. There's no pollution. It's completely organic. Everything is really amazing, and it's the most diverse site I've ever seen. We have holes that are literally in the ocean. The 11th hole is practically just in the water. There's cliff top holes. There's dunes. We have a sandy cove beach at 18 with this beautiful idyllic. The beach is in play, so bring your sand game. And then next to it is the Cape Wickham Lighthouse, which was built in 1861, and that's still the tallest lighthouse in Australia. And at 157 or 158 feet, it was the tallest lighthouse in the Southern Hemisphere for a long time. So it's really beautiful, spectacular, just fantastic people.
Now, how many people get out there?
They're pretty good. You have to fly to the island, but it's only 40 minutes from Melbourne. It's a 40-minute flight from Melbourne, so it's very accessible. As remote as it is, it's very accessible, and it's unlike anything else. It's the most diverse site I've ever seen for a golf course, because you interact with the water in so many different ways because of the way the coastline is, and low level, high level, dunes, all different types of stuff.
Now, have you got some top honors for that course? And
it's 24th in the world on Golf Digest lists, and 70th or 71st, I think, on Golf Magazine. So it's gotten a lot of recognition in a very short period of time, which is an honor. It's very nice. Kingsley and Grey Walls are both on Golf Week's top 100 modern courses here in the States, and other various state publications and things like that too. So they've all done really quite well, and it's an honor to be able to have that. Absolutely.
We've got a couple of good designers in that Traverse City area. Some guy, Tom Doak. Do you know him?
Yeah. Who's that guy? I don't know. Yeah. He's 30 years ago I worked for Tom for about 2.5-3 years, and that was sort of my transition. I grew up working on the maintenance crew and in the pro shop at Crystal Downs, and that's where my love of golf came up. And then when I finished college, I met Tom, and he was just finishing up High Point, his first course. Unfortunately, that's no longer a golf course; it's a hops farm for all the beer drinkers out there. And so I worked with Tom for about 2.5-3 years in construction and assisting him, and that's kind of how my career got started. And then I went back to school at the University of Michigan and got my master's in landscape architecture.
And you're doing some work down there at the Ann Arbor at the Mackenzie.
Yeah, we've done. It's a great Mackenzie golf course, and Perry Maxwell was his assistant, just like at the Downs. He was the assistant, and so we've done a full restoration plan. That plan is not, there's little bits and pieces but basically the plan involves more than that for a full restoration. We need a donor. All Wolverines, calling all Wolverines. But the green complexes are really amazing. They're really phenomenal. And those have shrunk a little bit. That's very typical to old golf courses. What happens is the Depression, World War II, you lost a lot of opportunity there to maintain a golf course because you had less labor. You didn't have the economics to be able to keep things up maybe the way it should have originally been. And so a lot of those larger greens, the edges shrunk and stuff, and you're seeing we're trying to get those perimeters out, and so you can move the pin around more, helps maintenance, traffic patterns, makes for more interesting golf because you have different angles and different shot options and things like that. So it makes for fun golf too.
Well, the Big Ten has got some pretty strong golf courses now, and college golf has become so big. Look at everybody on the PGA Tour. They're all college graduates now.
Yes.
Instead of the caddy ranks, they come out of the colleges. And in Michigan, you've got Alistair McKenzie. You've got down at Ohio State the same.
Yep.
And
Pete Dye did Purdue's course. And Michigan.
Jones did one over at Madison.
He did, I think. Yes, that's right. I've never been there, but yes, yeah. And then I think Iowa's they've got a pretty good golf course. I've never been there, haven't seen that, but they've got a pretty good golf course there too. And Michigan State, of course, has the great turf program, and they've got Cat Key Cousins and other stuff there that Art Hills I think has worked on for a number of years. Yeah.
So what else you been doing besides?
So in the winter, there's a lot of planning and getting ready for projects in the upcoming season. You're always working on finding the next big project, so working on that type of stuff. Next week, I'm actually going to Buenos Aires for about a week.
Oh, just bingo like that. We're talking about Ann Arbor and Iowa and everything, and suddenly we're in Buenos Aires.
Gotta do a little tango. No, I have a bunch of connections down there, and so I work with the Jockey Club, which is an old Mackenzie. He went down there in 1930 and designed 36 holes for the Jockey Club, which is one of the great clubs in the world, with golf, polo, horse racing, all kinds of really wonderful things. But so I've developed a number of relationships down there, and so I go and consult with a number of clubs and do a little bits and pieces. They don't have the economics or the ability and the resources to get and even just the regulations. It's hard for them to get new equipment, new maintenance equipment, and things like that. So going there and spending 2 or 3 days and giving them advice and a report is really helpful. So it's a fun. For me, it's fun because it's a great culture down there. The food's amazing. The people are wonderful. But it's exciting from a business standpoint to help people and to really encourage golf, because they have a wonderful golf culture that goes back to when the English were there with the railroads, and they've got 250 or 300 golf courses in Argentina, which is about half of all of South America. So they have a much deeper golf culture than the rest of South America.
And then the PGA Tour and the R&A and so forth are kind of getting together to get more tournament play in South America.
Yeah.
So do they have junior programs of any?
They do a lot. They do support a lot of the younger golfers and things like that. So upcoming players, and that you see the mini tours. I mean, they always was like a South American tour, and the Argentine Open, was always a big tournament. Roberto Di Vincenzo, who just passed away about 15 years ago when I was down in Buenos Aires, I had a chance to meet Roberto several times, play a few holes of golf with him. I actually sat in his living room for an hour in his house and talked with him, and he was just an amazing guy. Incredible hands. He had these beautiful hands, and he would talk about the sensation and how, and you could tell he was talking about the impact, how the club hit the ball. And then the next day we had lunch with some people and played a few holes, and I saw the sensation in action. He was about 80. He was maybe 84 at the time, and it was incredible. He was just whoosh, 250 yards down the pipe, man. He didn't miss. It was right in the center of the club still. It was a really amazing opportunity. So
now, golf today seems to be the bomb, bang, 300 and something yards, and then reach for 4 or 5 wedges. What has this done for people like Mike DeVries, who is a golf course designer? What's happened in the game now?
Yeah. Tough, Jack. It's hard because the game's completely different than it was 30 or 40 years ago when we grew up, and guys were hitting long irons and making shots and doing stuff, and they're so talented, they're so good, but the technology and how they're able to utilize it at that high level has changed how they play. So Phil had 2 drivers and 4 or 5 wedges for one tournament because he wanted one driver to do one thing and one driver to do another thing. So it's kind of crazy with how that's gotten. And the only thing that we can do is we can try and make these guys think about more options, or you have a number of options of how to do things, particularly with what you do around the greens and how you defend the greens and defend pin positions. So if the tournament wants to set up a specific spot or something that's really difficult and requires a certain type of shot, they might do that. And then I think the only time you really see a different style of game is when you watch the British Open, because the Open Championship is on these traditional links courses, and they have to hit bump and runners, and they hit putts from off 20 or 30 or 40 yards off the green, and to me that's fun. That's exciting to see because it's a different kind of game.
And unless they have the double greens, which they have at a number of places, most of the greens done by the old guys were smaller. Is that correct?
So
what do you do there to get a little fire back in?
Well, you try and find the old edge and you try and push that out, or you look at ways of defending that, or setting up strategy to try and do that. And it's about having fun. And for the average golfer, if we take the pros out of the way, right, you think about the old golden age golf courses from the 20s. Those are really relevant to the average player now. As far as the length, it's not too long, not too onerous on them. They can still get to a lot of par 4s and regulation much of the time. So they have an opportunity, but they still have to hit really good shots. And so, to me, that's really fun. That makes it's about having fun. So it's
and it seems like the guys who are able to play almost like the old style, they like that. They like to play
Absolutely.
there. And then the guys say, like Dustin Johnson, what's he going to do there?
he's going to lay up with a 3-iron or some kind of hybrid.
You've got dog legs and you've got smaller greens and.
Well, and you look at that's one of the more popular tournaments on the tour, right, from the players' perspective, but also from the spectators and just interest level and things. Right. And the scoring average is not too low, even though it's short, because it required Pete Dye is just brilliant at making these guys, getting in their head and making them try something that they're not capable or comfortable doing. And so that's fun. That makes for interest more than something that's 75 or 7,800 yards and they just Dustin bombs it and wedge number 3. That's not real golf. Not for us. Not for the average.
So what do you find people who want to come up with a new golf course now? What do they ask for?
Well, there's not as many new courses being done, particularly in the States. I mean, there was a lot of development the late 80s, 90s, into the early 2000s. So there's more courses that are sort of being redone or are being replaced by other development type uses. So the courses that you're finding that are being done are really pure golf experiences for the most part, and some of them are still development type things. But for the most part, the things that get the publicity and the press are things like Stream Song and Sand Valley and Bandon Dunes that are great golf courses, are focused on really good play. And those are, destination places to go to. Not everybody can do that. But if you have a public golf course, in a local or regional area, you can still design great golf that's still fun and doesn't have to be, as expensive as going to Pebble Beach or something. So that's, a lot of people are going to find that hard to on the pocketbook. So I think good design can carry some of that out and create fun and interesting shots. But there's not, there's less opportunities to do that, and there's more renovation and restoration work for existing golf courses now in the States.
So are you doing some of that?
Absolutely, yeah. So I do stuff here, just finishing up a long-range plan for Bloomfield Hills Country Club down in the Detroit area, and that is actually a 1913 Harry Colt design, which is really unique because Colt and Allison, most of Colt's work was in Europe. Allison's work was around the United States, East Asia, other parts of the world. So have Colt come do a course here without Allison was really quite unusual. And so that's been a really fun process of uncovering all the sort of history and trying to find good.
That's one of the top private clubs in the state.
Absolutely, it's fantastic membership and very, very good maintenance and stuff. Dan Bollett, it's always phenomenal. So
well, you're keeping busy.
Yeah,
Good.
Busy is a good problem. So, but yeah, so we do a lot of work. I do a lot of work in the New York Met area too. There's a lot of old clubs there. Siwanoy, which is a Donald Ross golf course. First PGA championship was there in 1916. And Jess Sweetser, who was the second best amateur of the 1920s behind Bobby Jones. He was a member there. And then Sunningdale, which is right near there, same sort of area. That was originally a Seth Rayner design, and then Walter Travis and Albert Tillinghast did some work there too, modifications. So we've done long-range plans for those courses. Siwanoy being more of a restoration base because they had original Donald Ross greens. Sunningdale kind of a renovation to the traditional, but had to make some changes because a lot of things had been changed post-World War II. And they're both they're open, finished the projects and really great now. So good.
I'm happy that they're still keeping Mike DeVries busy.
So am I.
Yeah. Good talking with you, Mike. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jack. Always appreciate it.